All right, fellas, what's due have to be done. I told you I'm gonna do a series with a Comsol tutorial for soundproofing purposes, and here we are for the first episode right there, where I'm gonna be mostly covering the grounds of acoustic treatment for um, a small home studio throughout various techniques that you can use to measure your room. Everything here is done with 3D modeling, so you just need the software, and I'm gonna show you guys how it is organized in different parts. You're gonna see there's pressure acoustics, there is radio acoustics as well, and hopefully it's gonna be a helpful tool for those that want to do some cheap soundproofing. So first of all, what do we have over here? I'm gonna get back to this graph, which is kind of um, an impulse response with the sound pressure as the y-axis, and it says arc length, but that's bullshit. It actually is the frequency. So we are between 0 and 2500 hertz, and this is analytical, but I'm gonna get back to that later. So first of all, with any kind of 3D modeling software, what you're gonna have to do is modeling your room. So creating a CAD model or a 3D model, depending on what you have as a room. You're gonna have to measure your room, um, and then creating a geometry which reflects more or less, uh, with more or less accuracy, what's going on in your room. So you can easily recognize right here the desk. Here we have what is actually a carpet, and here this is, well, my acoustic panels. You can see they are uh, hanging on each left, right walls, and another one which is on the door. Here we have omnidirectional microphone, and here this is my well, actually I have a 5.1 sound bar, but for the sake of ease, I just modeled the bar and not the real speakers. So that's why you see three dots that represents three speakers. So any kind of software, even though you use something like Odeon, you're gonna need to have some sort of a CAD model that represents your room. What's very convenient with Comsol is that you can run multiple studies at a time, as you can see here. So uh, you're gonna declare a whole bunch of physics, and I'm gonna go a bit technical right there because room acoustics is a very high-end uh, topic when it comes to physics. There's many different things we can talk about. Pressure acoustics is mainly useful for bass frequencies because uh, it is more about pressure than directivity. So that's why a module like pressure acoustic is more suited if you want to learn about the bass response of your room, which is quite interesting because we all have subwoofers, we all play bass or guitar, and we want to have some dampening at those frequencies, especially for what we call modes, um, which are, let's say, standing wavelength that occurs at low frequencies, and they are distorting the sound like crazy, and you cannot mix properly your music. So that's kind of like the ins and outs of why we are doing this and why we need a pressure acoustic model in order to visualize that. So I have already created some acoustic treatment, but I'm gonna cover that another day. So about pressure acoustic, one of the main things that you're gonna be able to plot is the acoustic modes. So you can see over there that considering the geometry that we have, it is supposed that we have multiple modes starting from 43 hertz, 60, 61 hertz, all the way up to more or less 200 hertz, right? Um, you need to plug that shit up until the Schroeder frequency. The Schroeder frequency uh, is a threshold, is a upper limit for pressure acoustics. Above that frequency, we're gonna go with ray acoustics. So ray acoustics may be a little more, uh, at least the visual part, easy, more easy to understand because you're gonna have a ray of, you're gonna have beams. This is all a visual, right? But it's gonna that way tell you the first reflections, so on and so forth. So this is more something that people like, but this is efficient just after the shorter frequency. You gotta know that because you cannot cover the whole spectrum with a ray acoustic technique. So it is calculated analytically as well. Here it predicts a 472 cycle per second, or hertz. Well, we can't directly say hertz for the shorter frequency. So anything beyond that is pressure acoustics, and above it's ray acoustics basically. And then we have all the studies that we can conduct, acoustic diffusion, which is uh, very important for reverberation time, for example. So the kind of plots that you get with Comsol, and this is why, guys, I love this software. Uh, ISO surfaces. So ISO surfaces is gonna do an average. Yeah, it's not. This one's not working. I gotta find one that's uh, on point. So ISO surfaces is well, this is like average sound pressure. It's gonna tell you where are the hot spots of acoustic pressure, so that you know in your room if you have to place any kind of bass trap, this is the spot that you want to target. So if I take 90 hertz on this one, what as it tells me is I have more pressure on the corners, which is a usual conclusion that we draw in small rooms like that. But guess what? If I change the frequency and I go, let's say 120 hertz, looks like that. So depending on the frequency, you don't get uh, the same map, the same heat map, and it gives you some clue of where do the sound pressure is the most important. All of that is two dimensional, so it means this is a projection of the sound pressure on nearby surfaces, just like this one. This one is in decibels, whereas the previous one was in pascals, I guess. Yeah, and ISO surfaces now was what I was talking about. This is a 3D plot this time. So surfaces is 2D, and now ISO surfaces belongs to the 3D uh, plot group. So if I go over there, I either have volume, which is this kind over here, or I can have also 2D, but this is not here. Actually, this is here, right? So you choose whatever you want. With the ISO surfaces, you kind of have more, even more details on how do the sound wave uh, are scattered all across the room, and and it gives even more clues because you can see that in the middle of the room probably where the listening position is going to be located, you have actually the least pressure. I could even turn that into instead of pascals. I don't know if that's gonna work, but if I do this, I got the same thing, but in decibels this time, and I'm gonna have to change the legend to see better. But you can really plot whatever you want as long as the variable belongs to the study. So you have a whole bunch of variables available to you depending on the kind of uh, conditions that you put on boundaries, right? Boundaries conditions. So here we have our very special. I just realized I forgot this one, but we have our acoustic panels, which gonna have a specific absorption. I have also designed Elmos resonators, but I'm gonna cover that in another video because it's gonna be pretty confusing. So you can customize your room as thoroughly as you want, and obviously it's gonna get you some more accurate details and clues about where the sound pressure is the most revealing. So another interesting thing to do is to go with a 1D plot, which is a graph, right? On this one, you can see, so that's the measured one, the green line, and the red one is the one from the simulation. So you can see some sheer differences, but at the same time, we can find the same peaks. So 115 hertz is on those two pretty revealing. Uh, Same thing at around 185 more or less. So this is just a way to see that R is the simulation in sync with what's really going on in reality. And for that, you're gonna need to have a 1D plot, as I said. Here we are plotting the acoustic pressure, and the X variable is, well, now because this is an octave band, so octave band does it for you. But if you want to personalize your thing, you're gonna have to declare X-axis, right? So that's pretty much what you can do with rare acoustics. This is not set it up yet, but we can go with impulse response and fast Fourier transform uh, to have even more accurate details, because this is the low frequency range. But of course, you probably at some point want to go with the whole spectrum. So uh, this time we're gonna go with rare acoustics, which is a uh, temporal time-based study. Here we are in a frequency-based study, and rare acoustics is time-based. So you're gonna need to do a fast Fourier transform to go from temporal region, temporal study to frequency study. This is sort of what I've been starting to do here, but again, this is not on point, but just to tell you. So rare acoustics, well, this is not fine-tuned yet. I'm still in the working process for this thing, but you see now the parameter is the time. I think I've done something quite interesting right here. So as I told you, you need a Fourier transform. So impulse response. So yeah, you're gonna have your variables from the study, and then you're gonna do, so that's not a fast Fourier transform, that's a discrete Fourier transform, and it basically it's gonna go from a temporal signal, like when you record vocal and you have a temporal signal, to a uh, a signal represented into a frequency band, and we can go a third of an octave or a sixth of an octave or a full octave. So this is not ready yet, but it's just giving you some hints of how can we do it. And last but not least, I've started this video showing you this graph. This is an impulse response on a much larger um, uh, frequency band, but this is analytical. So here, and that's the beauty of Comsol, you have the possibility to do many equations that you're gonna plot. And now, so they are not depending on what's going on in the study. This is only you enter your parameters, you do a sweep, and you get a graph. This has nothing to do with the study. But again, this is a nice way to do some comparison between what the study gives you and what the analytical that anybody can do with a free website nowadays. So many tools out there to do that, and you kind of now have both references, and you can uh, have a better uh, outlook on the situation. So this is calculated from a bunch of green functions and kind of funky things that uh, I just withdrawn from another uh, study. This is not me. Most of what you're gonna do is extract it from studies, from thesis reports, stuff like that. Like you're not gonna invent anything on something so complicated. I don't even remember where I put this equation layout, but it's gotta be somewhere around here. Yes, there it is. So here we have green functions. Uh, all the calculation is done analytically, basically, and what we trying to get at the end is this thing right here, and that's how we get a spectrum like that. So once I'm gonna be done with the wave frequency thing, I'm just also gonna plot the spectrum uh from the simulation, and there we're gonna see if we are in sync or not, and then do the uh, adjustments in accordance, right? So this was just a preview. Of course, like you can get the room response, but now what you're gonna do with it is have some models for acoustic treatment that you want to implement in that, and see if you get any difference, so you can save money and not do it trial and error strategy, but you first do the whole simulation of the room with and without the acoustic treatment that you want to get, and then you you can buy them. So that's a money saving thing. Hopefully this is a partial response to those who are seeking for cheap um, acoustic treatment in uh, home studios or any kind of rooms that you want to soundproof. It can even be a home theater. So I'm gonna keep recording those studies I'm carrying and doing videos every once in a while to go in more details. We're gonna talk about Elmos resonators. We're gonna talk about optimodal scattering based on diffusers, reflectors with the theory of scattering coefficient. We're gonna cover that ground, and if there's anything you want to add in the comment section, I'm free uh, to to talk with the people about that, right? So thank you all, and stay tuned.